Joe Rogan and Michael Easter talk about the psychology behind slot machines.
So I live in Las Vegas, which happens to be a good town to think about why the hell can't we moderate, right? Now, when you live there, you see all kinds of wild stuff, right? But to me, what's always been the strangest has been the slot machines. So you're in the casinos, obviously, but they're in the gas stations, the grocery stores, the restaurants, the bars, and the airport. And they're not sitting empty.
Right.
People are playing them around the clock.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the hell is up with that?
Just plays in your dopamine.
Well, and it doesn't make sense because
No.
everyone knows the house always wins.
Yeah, it's not, it's like a numbing thing. They just sit there and press the buttons and press the buttons and press the buttons and hope they make money.
Yeah. So I decide, all right, like, I'm going to find out how a slot machine works. Why do people get hooked on slot machines? That's the question. And so I go into journalist mode and I start making calls. Now, the first group of people that I call turns out to be a dead end. So who I call are people who are effectively anti-gambling researchers. Okay, so these are researchers who have a very anti-gambling bent, and they tell me all sorts of sort of strange things. They're like, oh, it's because casinos don't have clocks. They're like these myths we've all heard. Casinos don't have clocks. Slot machines only play in the key of C, which relaxes people and relaxes their wallet. Casinos don't have any right angles, and right angles activate the rational part of your brain. And so I go, okay. And then I go to an actual casino, and there's right angles everywhere, right? The screens are right angles. No clocks, but guess who else doesn't have clocks? Like most businesses, right? There's not clocks in Costco.
Most restaurants.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not normal to have clocks. And then for the audio, the key of C, I call up a slot machine audio composer. Now, this is a real job you can have in Las Vegas, right? And this guy goes, where the hell did you hear that? He's like, I use all keys. So I realized that the problem that I'm encountering is that I have called people who want us to stop gambling. I need to call people who want us to start gambling, right? I got to follow the money on this. So long story short, I talked to a handful of people in town, and this leads me to this casino on the outskirts of Las Vegas. Now, it's brand new, it's cutting edge, but the catch is that it's not open to the public. So this place is basically a living, breathing casino, but it's used entirely for research on human behavior.
What?
Yeah, so...
Really? Who funds that?
73 different companies. So there's gambling companies that are involved, but also a bunch of big tech companies who are on the Fortune 500. So I go there, and it's like I said, it's a legit casino.
How big is it?
It's, I would say, I mean, it's not the size of a normal casino, like a sprawling strip one. It's probably about the size of everything you have here, maybe a little bigger. But they have hotel rooms.
It's like a Walmart.
Yeah.
That big?
Yeah, it's in this big office building, basically. Okay. And they're basically looking at how everything that happens in a casino affects human behavior. So how does room design and the technology we're using in rooms affect behavior? How does betting with, say, an AI bot versus an actual human impact betting? Now, when I'm there, I meet with, to bring it back to slot machines, I meet with a guy who designs slot machines. So the reason that these things are so entrancing to people, it tracks back to this behavior loop that I call the scarcity loop. And this is basically a looping behavior that when people do it, they tend to get hooked on it very easy. So it's got three parts. It's got opportunity, unpredictable rewards, and quick repeatability. So opportunity, you have an opportunity to get something of value. So in the case of a slot machine, it's money, right? 2, unpredictable rewards. You know you're going to get the thing of value if you continue the behavior, but you don't know when, and you don't know how valuable it's going to be. So with a slot machine game, when those reels are spinning, you could win nothing. You could basically lose your money. You could win a couple dollars, or you could win a life-changing amount of money. There's a fantastic range of things that could happen. And then 3, quick repeatability. You can immediately repeat the behavior. So with slot machines, the average player plays about 16 games a minute. And that's different from all other habits. Like most habits, you don't immediately repeat them. Now, the reason that people are so interested in this, companies, casinos, is because this sort of three-part system I just laid out, it can get people to repeat a lot of other behaviors too. So it's in social media, it's in sports gambling, it's in dating apps. Even companies like gig work economy companies are using it to get people to work longer hours. It's being leveraged by the financial industry in a lot of personal finance apps, and on and on and on. It's become, it's been embedded in so many of the products, even institutions that influence people's lives, because it is so captivating to us. We tend to get hooked on this three-part system.
And you're talking about like gig economy stuff, like you're talking about like Uber and things along those lines?
Driving for Uber.
And so how do they use that?
So things like unpredictable rewards get put up in front of a driver to get them to drive into an area of town that Uber might want them to be in. There's also
unpredictable rewards. What do you?
Yeah, so like you might get say, oh, if you drive here, like your whatever you'll make X amount more money, right? And it sort of pops up unpredictably.
Oh, so they'll incentivize you, that they offer you more money to go to a different part of town?
Yeah, or dropping in cues that saying like, hey, this is where you're going to make more money today, type of thing.
Oh.
If you think about it in terms of something like social media, it's like the opportunity is to get, say, status or likes or whatever it is, right? And then, say, a person posts, and then the rewards become totally unpredictable, right? You might get 2 likes, which is like, oh, that wasn't great. Or you might get hundreds of likes, which is like, oh, my God, that's amazing. It's the same exact architecture as a slot machine. And then you check and recheck. You're repeating the behavior all day.
Joe Rogan talks to Francis Foster and Konstantin Kissin about the new podcast laws in Canada.
They're regulating podcasts in Canada.
Oh yeah, and
I
was reading about this bill, because I woke up and we're jet lagged, so I woke up at a ridiculous time. I went on the phone, which you should never do. Let's be honest, that is a bad way to start the day.
It's not good.
No. And then I was reading about what they're doing. It's terrifying. So they want to bring in this bill whereby they regulate podcasts. So what they want to do is every podcast streamer or whatever it is platform that makes more than $10 million revenue, not profit, revenue, has to register with the Canadian government. They then want them to hand over information about their content and the people listening to their to their
oh my God.
to the government.
Imagine
Trudeau.
getting a hold of Alex Jones's email list.
It's probably a bunch of senators on there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, imagine.
Yeah.
And then
the government can get that.
they're talking right now about, and maybe we're going to need to fact check this again because I was reading it this morning, but basically they want it to promote Canadian. Something to do with like basically what Canadian greatness, whatever it is, they talk about it, and Indigenous affairs. And you're like, oh, so they're going to say a number of things are un-Canadian, and then you can just silence them. Look what Trudeau did with the truckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
We just had one of their guys on to talk about it.
Not just the truckers, but people who donated to the truckers got their bank accounts closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is wild.
Yeah.
You got locked out of all of your money because you donated to a cause where you didn't think that people should have to take an experimental vaccine in order to be able to work to drive a truck.
But
really?
Yeah.
Really? You think that's okay? Like, that's so not okay. The fact that those people aren't up in arms. The whole country didn't freak out and demand a fucking change. Like, you can't have, that's dictatorship stuff. That's
Right.
what that is. It's Banana Republic stuff.
We do these calls with our top supporters, and we have some in Canada. We have this lady who's been supporting us for years, and she's always fine. And in the middle of this thing, she was like, "I'm terrified. I'm not going to be able to eat because they're going to shut down my bank account."
God.
Right? In Canada.
It's so crazy that they think they could do that if people disagree with them. Because that's all they're doing. They're just disagreeing. And they're supporting a protest. It should be, and it was a peaceful protest. Those people did it the right way. They just parked their trucks and they didn't block roads off. They didn't do anything fucked up.
But if you frame it that these people, which is how they were being framed as racist far right, well, look,
Yeah.
You're giving money to a far right racist organization. You're encouraging hate. Well, the government has to step in. We have to step in, and we need to freeze everything because we need to make everything safe.
What was this most recent apology because they accidentally awarded a Nazi?
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
I think Zelensky was visiting the Canadian Parliament, and they got some guy who was a Ukrainian, inverted commas, war veteran. Turned out he fought for the bad guys in that one.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't think like Zelensky or I don't know.
Probably didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know. But so imagine you're sitting in Parliament and everyone's like, "Hey, let's stand up and give a round of applause for this war veteran." You're like, and then it turns out you're applauding a Nazi.
How old is this dude?
Old.
Yeah.
He
old.
probably doesn't even know. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a fucking good guy. Maybe he's like tricked himself that he wasn't a Nazi.
Yeah.
Imagine
Joe Rogan talks about when David Goggins encountered a grizzly bear.
Goggins
This
in his
the
spare
guy.
time. In his spare time,
Yeah.
he fire jumps. So this is a dude that's wealthy. Goggins has a lot of money.
How did he make his money?
He sold a book. His book, Can't Hurt Me, sold the shit. Give me some volume. Anyway, so he fire jumps into this area, and look at these grizzly bear tracks. So what he does is he fire jumps for the challenge. He doesn't fire jump for money. Like most of these guys are fire jumping, they pay you to do it, so you do it. He does it just because it's fucking hard to do. And so he sends me this video of these fucking giant bear tracks. He's a size 12 foot. Look, he's putting it right next to his bear track. So he sends me this video, and I go, "Oh my God." I go, "Don't get eaten, brother." And he goes, "Fuck it." Here it is. Yeah, okay.
Those woods, so we'll probably have an overnight partner here. See these grizzly bear prints, man? Look at these motherfuckers, dude. They're as big as my foot. They're fucking huge. This is a massive fucking grizzly bear. Massive fucking grizzly bear. Look at this shit. Even how wide it is. This is fucking a massive ass grizzly bear. And as you see, he walks right through there to those woods. So we are in big time grizzly bear territory.
So I sent him a text message.
Holy shit.
I said, "Don't get eaten, brother." He goes, "Fuck it. Stay hard, brother. If you see me fighting a bear, help the bear." Look what he sends me.
Hilarious.
And then he writes Goggins with like 10 exclamation points.
That's crazy.
Ah!
Thank you for watching and make sure to subscribe for more podcast clips.